So I'm currently looking into a problem I've got with the Alfa 147, which is the windscreen wipers aren't working on the front or the rear. I don't know what the odds are of having bad motor on the front and the back, but feels like it's probably an electrical fault rather than a problem with the motors, but who knows? Anyway, simplest things first. Apparently this fuse, whilst it isn't marked in any of the diagrams, apparently this is in circuit with the wiper motors. That's, I think, fuse 43. And then apparently this relay here is the wiper relay. So there's also a MIDI fuse in the fuses on the positive battery terminal. That's, I think it's the 70 amp one. So I've checked the fuses and they're all okay. I'm just going to pull the relay now and have a look to see what's happening there. So I've done a little bit of prodding and poking to figure out which pins were the coil. Looks like it's these two across the bottom here. So I've got my multimeter in there. And I'm just going to switch the car on and use the wiper switch and just see if we get any voltage through there. Peculiarly, we're getting a small reading at the moment. Now, I don't know if we've got some bad earths going on or if there's a bit of a short somewhere, because it's given me bad recollections of the Citroen XM that I was working on recently, but we'll see. Let's have a look. So, quite a few hands for this. The ignition's on. Doesn't seem quite right, does it? Let's try and put that somewhere where we can observe it when I'm looking around with the ignition switch. Where can we get that where we can see that happily? Hold on. All right, there we go. That's a bit better. So, mucking around with the switch means absolutely nothing changes. Wonderful. Right, it's power probe time. If you don't have one of these, get one. They're really cheap and they're a really quick way of breaking everything electrical on the car. A really quick way of diagnosing electrical faults. So here, it'd be interesting to know which of these has the 12 volts that we were seeing. So, okay, so we've got 12 volts there. Got nothing. We've got earth here. There we go. Move on these. We've got earth there. We've got 12 volts there. Interesting. Now, I don't have enough hands to show you this very well, but I've got the earth clip from the power probe on the earth terminal of the coil on the relay, and I'm just going to provide it with 12 volts. Hopefully you can hear that click. That's the relay, and just to show you it's not this. There we go. So we know the relay works at least, and we know we've got our terminals right. The weird thing is then, why are we constantly getting 12 volts on that relay if it's the wiper relay? I don't have a circuit diagram for this car, so I'm just guessing as best as I can. It could well be that the information that I found online is wrong, and that might not even be the relay for the wipers. But yeah, more investigation required. Looks like somebody's been in here before. That can't be good, can it? Just in the process of removing the scuttle tray. so we can have a look at what's going on with the front wiper motor and linkage. Hopefully try and see if we're getting power from the switch, or let's find out. Well, I'm afraid I've jumped ahead a little bit. So yeah, did some testing on the car and found that the wiper motor seems fine on the front, at least. Haven't checked the back. Wiring seems okay for it. Fuse is okay. Relay's okay. Which left on the parts list the column stalks and the control unit. And from doing a little digging in the wiring diagram, the control unit seems to be built into the column stalks. So yeah, I think it's just a case of take it off and replace it. I'm not sure there's going to be anything inside of there which we can salvage. Luckily, a replacement doesn't seem to be too expensive. I'm just hoping that they haven't changed these over the model year. But yeah, see how we go. Well, that wasn't too hideous to remove. Don't know if you can see it, but there's like a you should be able to see that. Allen bolt clamp thing. You undo that. There's a little tab at the top here. I found that just kind of wobbling this, what do you want to call it? Actually, radially, as I was putting a little bit of pressure on it, not enough that anything would break, but just enough that if it suddenly found its place to go, it would come off, and yeah, it just popped off. So I don't know if there's any sort of like on the bench testing I can do with this, or if we just get a replacement and chuck it straight on. Always looks really bad when you start taking apart the column switches and take the steering wheel off. I think sort of quite makes the car look particularly broken. That's hopefully we're not far off having it running and sorted. So it's Josh from the future here. You can probably tell that by the appalling sound quality from my microphone. So I did end up taking the column stalk apart. So what I really wanted to establish is the control unit inside of this, as the wiring diagram, which I did manage to track down in the end, suggested. And are there any serviceable parts inside of it? And yeah, I mean, I did some testing of the components that I could test. So it turns out there's some additional relays inside of this unit. You'll probably see them in one of the last photographs here. So that first relay that I got a little bit hung up on, that's just a relay that provides power to the whole sort of wiper circuit. So that's always on whenever the ignition's on. So that was working right. But yeah, I took apart the column stalks. I tested the components that I could test inside of it. And yeah, nothing kind of seemed obviously awry. I was sort of hoping for some maybe, dry solder joints, or maybe like a blown capacitor, or a relay that wouldn't fire, because it turns out most of the parts that are inside of there, you do seem to be able to buy replacements of, and they're not very expensive. But yeah, it wasn't to be, and a replacement was about, I think, about £30. So I wasn't too upset to have to just replace the part. But wherever I can, I don't know if it's because I'm a bit of a skinflint, or because it just feels nice to fix things. I do like to try and take stuff apart and see if it can be saved. But anyway, moving swiftly on, let's have a look at where we go from here. Right, brief update time. I did buy a used column stalk set from eBay. It's about 30 quid. I've been through the wiring diagrams. I managed to find those online, and yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned, but the control module for the wipers is integrated in the column stalk unit. I've actually I might splice some photos in. I did take the original one apart just to see if there was anything serviceable inside of there, maybe find like a leaky capacitor or something. But yeah, everything I could check with my limited electronic skills was checking out as it should be. So I do wonder if maybe like one of the logic chips has just died a death. So yeah, couldn't save the old stalks, but was fairly confident that seeing as all the wiring on the car checked out, had earth and power where I was meant to, could run the motors using using a power probe. I was pretty happy that this was the fault, and yeah, I have cheated and chucked these onto the wiring loom briefly and checked them. Initially, because I'm thick, I thought it was still broken, but it's because I was misreading one of the terminals on the wiring diagram. So yeah, I'm confident that we've fixed the problem. We've got the perfect weather for fixing windscreen wipers. So yeah, I'll get this thrown back together, and then hopefully we'll have working wipers and be much closer to the MOT. Happy days. One thing that worries me a little bit is that when this turned up, the clock spring wasn't aligned properly. So when I took the original off, I sort of I don't know if you can see, there's like these things here. I aligned those and made sure everything was straight when it came off, and there does seem to be a limit to how far this can turn without this being compressed once the steering wheel's on there. So hopefully it doesn't make a difference that this one was sort of clocked out a little bit. I guess there's only one way to find out. And whilst this is off, look, here's a better view of the clamp that you have to undo. So you look at it from underneath when you're undoing it, and it kind of looks like that. And it's held in place. And there's a little tab that you just sort of have to overcome as you remove it. Look, there's a little lug on there that it clips onto. So yeah, let's get this thrown back on. Perfect. I will mention as well, if you've got cruise control, it looks like if you are replacing these, most of the breakers seem to remove the cruise control units, but there's a little screw at the front there, and somewhere underneath, I don't know if I can find it. Pass. It might be around the back, but there's another screw, and this is a little bit awkward to remove. You feel like you're going to break it as you prise it apart, but yeah, it pops off of a lug on the back and comes out fairly painlessly. Just doing up that clamp. It actually registers pretty well just off of that one lug, but see, the clamp will stop anything from shifting about and moving around. I don't think you need to go wild doing it up, because I was able to, just with the leverage that I could get with the Allen key round this way, I was able to get it undone. So if you're putting a ratchet on it, don't go mad. Just putting the top cowling on. Not sure how well you can see that, but there's only two places that's held on. You sort of have to feed there's like three little tails down there that you have to feed backwards in. Once they go over the top of the steering column, then you just thread these back in. You're good to go. Our memories of past traumas are returning, and yeah, the torque screws that I've got in the footwell, I'm pretty sure they are actually from the scuttle panel, which we need to refit shortly. For now, though, carry on with this. Pleased to see on the steering column and on the steering wheel itself. Let's bring you down from the tripod. One sec. Accidentally stopped recording there, but I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if that's something that's happened to it in a past life, or if that's how they come from the factory. However, that's quite handy that there's a mark there which shows us how that was aligned before. So I'm happy that's back how it was. And if we can focus, we just have a nut to pop back on there. It's a bit of a weird one. When I was taking this off, I wasn't quite sure if you needed to open those tabs out, but it would appear you don't. It didn't seem to cause any issues not doing that. It does seem strange because at a glance it looked like a lock washer. Maybe it is, and maybe it just locks in some strange way that I haven't encountered before. Just need to find something that we can tighten that up properly with. One moment. For those who are curious, I've got 24mm socket on this, and I'm sure there's probably reasons you shouldn't do this, but I'm just going to use the steering lock to get a decent amount of torque down on that. So we don't want that backing off. Come on. There we go. Happy days. We have a steering wheel. Feels a bit more like a car again. Right. Let's have a look at what we've got left to plug in. I think you might want to come down for this. All right, it's going to be wobbly because I'm going one-handed, but this wants to live back in here. There we go. Got some blue connectors there, but they don't seem to have anything that needs to live there. That leaves us with the tab here for the... it looks like it's... I didn't find any broken bits. I'm pretty sure I didn't break that. But when you're removing it, there's this little bit back here that seems to want to pop out. And let's have a look. I think there's a lug on the top of that. Yeah, there we go. That aligns with a slot on here. Let's see if there's a way that I can sort of juggle the tripod and some other bits and pieces and get it so that you can see that going on. Well, it's not easy for me, but might hopefully let you see something. So just going to pop that on the back there. I will point out that the battery is disconnected, so nothing exciting should happen. And we're just going to pop that retaining lug back in there. And pop that back in. And then I think I have got some torque screws which need to go in the back of there, and we'll hold that back in. But there we go. Yeah, the rest of this is just an operation of, there's 3 screws, so feed one in, tighten it up, turn the steering wheel round so that you can get to the next one. Do that 3 times over and you're done. Aha. Oh, there we go. I was doing something stupid. The airbag screws are retained inside of the steering wheel, so there was me searching around on the floor and trying to shove in screws that obviously weren't quite the right ones. And it looks like they are 5mm. 5mm Allen head. See if we can find a position where I can turn that without too much grief. Oh, why won't you come out? Come on, you bastard. again, these weren't wildly tight when I took them out, so I don't think you need to go too mad on them. And obviously something with a ball end on it will make your life a bit easier. Come on. No? There we go. 1, 2, 3. Probably can't see it on the camera, but you know when the thread's engaged because you'll slowly see the airbag getting drawn in. And there we go. Try turning the wheels there, which is always fantastic for your tyres. Yeah. Anyway, steering wheel back on. It's like it never happened. Right. Let's shut the battery back on. Set the key out. See that? Just in case bad things happen. And hopefully, you know, something like the horn switch isn't held down. Find out. No, there we go. Oh, there. Let's down again. Cool. See what we get. Front door open. Got some flashing lights and things. Let's take it out of gear. That's not good, is it? That is not good. Let's have a look for the jump pack. Yeah, I'm not going to confess to how long it took to find the leads and the pack. Yeah, don't keep your boot like I keep mine. What we're going to use is our battery. Okay. That looks super crusty. Let's use that. Got anything? Yeah. Pack seems happy. Let's see what happens in here. So far, so good. There we go. I will put it out there. I don't rate these Nocco packs at all. Had this one from you, and it's just never been very good. It always seems to struggle. Had a couple of really cheap packs before this, and they seemed much more powerful. You know, they seem to be able to crank over bigger engines than they were meant to crank over, and they cost about half of what this cost. They did die quite spectacularly. They both swelled up their batteries and sort of burst their cases. But if you know you're not too worried about death by lithium fire, They're way better than this thing. This was really expensive, and it's kind of shit. It definitely can't. It struggles to start. I mean, like, I think it's never successfully started diesel for me, for example. Or it struggles with things with like glow plugs and large diesel engines. Big petrols on V8s, it's like, yeah, it's crap. On to happier thoughts, though. Look at that. We're in business. I think the back one works as well. Let's try that. Ah, look at that. It's good to have wipers. Right, let's put everything back together. Hopefully you can hear me. Something that we should sort before we put the scuttle tray back on is this. This has a hole in it. It just fountains out screen wash when you press it. It just looks to be a small link hose that runs between those two joiners. So let's see what we've got in the garage. Well, I didn't even have to go as far as the garage. I found this lying in the back of my larder, so I'm sure some rubber from the 70s is probably exactly what this needs. So let's get that fitted on. I have no idea if I can do this one-handed. Let's try and catch that on the edge of the bodywork there. Nearly. Try again. I probably can't see anything. Apart from the course. If there's any consolation, I can't see anything like that. Come on. You're nearly there. Yeah. It's good to me. Gets similar to what we had there. Diddly, 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 diddly. You reckon? This much? Should do it. Probably still be struggling with that. That joiner is absolutely huge. I probably should have thrown some hot water over it, but let's see if we're leaking now. Well, I don't think the best angle to get this from. No, there we go. That was just spraying out from the hose previously, so good stuff. That does look a little bit tight. Let's maybe move that down a touch. There we go. Oh, you probably couldn't see that because I was holding the camera off it. But yeah, just put a little bit more slack in there. Sorted. Rushing, 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 rushing. Here you go. Well, I was having a bit of a fight with the tripod. Fell over a few times, and somehow my phone survived, but the battery got upset. So you've missed out on watching me fit the wiper blades, or wiper arms. Not super exciting, but what is super exciting is we have working wipers. You kind of have to question your automotive choices when you're just excited to see that your wipers work. Oh, what's gone wrong there? What has gone wrong there? Oh, okay. Wonder if that is meant to be really quite taut when that is open, because that was getting pinched by. Look, that folds down. Oh my god! Learn to point the camera where where you're looking. When that folds down, look. I wonder if that's meant to come through somewhere else. It's meant to be something that holds that. Anyway, should try again. There we go. God, that's properly exciting, isn't it? Stuff that works. Amazing. Let's spin around and have a look out the back. The back is open. Because that's where I was keeping all the parts. Try again. Oh, look at that. Everything works. Incredible. Right. All that's left then is a little bit of welding and sort of my fetching pink glass that I'm using today. So yeah, a little bit of welding and yeah, I need to get my head around that fuel leak. Like I say, can't find any fuel leaking out of the thing now, and I'd rather know for definite that it's sorted than just say, yeah, it's probably sorted. Yeah, but I mean, it was leaking quite a lot of fuel before, and there's just nothing coming out now. So uh, we shall see. When I'm underneath it doing some welding, I'm sure it'll give me a bit of a better insight into what's going on there. And that's why I have been leaving this car running quite a bit during this video, is that I just kind of wanted to see if there was some fuel leaking out, but just, yeah, nothing's come out of it so far. So, yeah, we'll see how we go on that one. Well, the fun never ends here, and yeah, I don't know if you saw in the last bit of footage, but we seem to have an airbag fault. So, just plugging in the diagnostics, and let's have a look at what we're seeing. So, sorry, there's probably quite a lot of reflection on here. Driver airbag squib OC. Steering angle sensor. Excellent. Now, these could be things that I've upset by connecting the battery on and off whilst I've had bits of the car disconnected. So let's erase that set of codes. And that looks fairly happy. Let's come out of there. Before we muck around in the service menu, let's turn this off. Turn it on so it can do its self-diagnostics. Yeah, there we go. Happy days. I was a little bit worried that something was awry there. Let's just no, we're dry steering again. My curiosity about that clock spring, I want to go through its full range of motion and just see, you know, just checking if the wheels were straight there. Just see if it upset anything, but doesn't seem to. It's upset that there's no fuel in it. But yeah, other than that, it seems happy. Let's just turn her off. Pop her back on. Do a quick scan through this. A really handy piece of kit this. It wasn't super cheap. It was about £400, but has been invaluable for that thing. Without it, I never would have got to the bottom of the canvas issues I was having with that. And some other bits and pieces. It's been very useful for the diesel Renault Clio that we've got as well, because it sort of predates. It's got an OBD2 port, but it's not OBD compliant, if that makes sense. So you plug in a reader in it. It doesn't pick anything up, whereas this thing does. And yeah, there we go. Save that. So that we can remember that it was working at some point. And yeah, just on a tangent, I mean, this thing does have some service functions as well. I don't know what it's got for this one, so... Okay, you can set up the steering angle sensor. Yeah, you can probably mess up all sorts of things with this, which is very useful. Anyway, there we go. We don't have the airbag warning anymore, so that's the main thing. Well, seeing as things seem to be going okay, shall we treat ourselves? Should we put the engine dress up back on? Looks a bit sad without it. Oh, lovely. Let's hope that's just a bit of condensation, hey? Need some big-ish Torx bits. See what we can find. I don't think those are actually Torx bolts, because they're a little bit on the square side. But I do seem to recall that Torx, it's worked on them. RIP tripod. Oh, come on. What size was that? T50. T45. Do we have a T45? T40? It's going to be one of those ones where the bit I need is like lost because I didn't put it away properly. One moment. Right. T40 works for anyone who's wondering. I think you need to go wild on these. It's not like it's a load-bearing piece of plastic. Do you need to get it in the hole, though? Sound life advice. Yeah. Excellent. I'm sure that was not at all tedious, but look. That's the money shot, isn't it? Lovely stuff. Well, have you ever seen such a beautiful thing? Don't get too excited, though. Dun dun dun. Oh. Well, for me, I don't know how well that will come out, but yeah, I don't think you're going to see that because of the wind and the focus. But that's not good. See if we've got some oil that will work in this. Oh. Top tip. I'm not sure if it's a top tip, but if you're worrying about oil grades, I mean, some oil is better than no oil. So we've got this lying around. We'll put that in so we've got some oil in the engine. We're going to change the oil in this. We're going to service it before it goes to a new home. Bloody hell, this time. So, something is better than nothing. For the moment, for the purpose of having a car that we can actually run. And, oh, you want to see that? God, look at that. Skills. Skills. What do we reckon? About a litre? Oh, I'm not 100% sure about that one. So it took a couple of litres to register on the dipstick. Did plug in the diagnostics to see if could get the oil pressure. Don't seem to be able to get the oil pressure, but there's an intermittent code for the oil pressure sensor. So that's interesting. A little look online suggests that apparently these can have problems with the wiring for the oil pressure sensor. Now, is it a coincidence that we've just thrown the engine dress up onto the top of the engine and we've had that warning come up? I think I need to have a little look to find out where that sensor is and where the loom goes. And I wonder if, yeah, we have some sensitive sensor wiring. So a little bit more investigation needed, but we can still rejoice in fantastic functioning wipers. Well, I had been hoping to be able to move on to have a look at the fuel leak and some of the welding, as I've taken some time off work to try and tackle that. Um, it's ended up being quite a long video just looking at the wipers on their own sort of thing. So I'm going to break it off here and split the fuel lines and some other little bits and pieces into another video. For the moment, though, here are some photos of what's to come for your viewing enjoyment. It's definitely going to get worse before it gets better on this one. But cool. Thank you for watching, and I hope this has been somewhat enjoyable. And look forward to seeing you again. Cheers.